Hello and welcome to this episode 97 of VocTerGaming. I'm your host, the vocal terrorist Jesse Rain, and we are here with game 2 from the IEM tournament in Kiev between these two players. First up we have our Blue Zerg, taking yesterday's game very, very easily. He is mTwDIMAGA! And of course we have our Red Terran, one of my favourite Terrans in the world to watch, the former GSL champion, SlayerSMMA! So of course yesterday we saw Dimaga really kind of steamroll MMA. Played really, really well, and MMA played terribly, not sieging his tanks very carefully, losing entire armies to terribly timed pushes. And as a result, Dimaga is currently 1-0 up in what I believe is a best of 5 series. MMA is just going to check up here. Oh, look at that Macaraxing. Very interesting. This is obviously popularised by the player Maka Prime quite a while back. This was back in the beta. Maka was doing this, where essentially you build a barracks outside of your main base. Sometimes it's to trick the Zerg player. What you want them to think you're doing is proxy 2-raxing, so that as he scouts up here, he comes in this way, sees this and goes, where's the barracks? Where's the barracks? And panics and spends his time looking for a 2-rax or defending even against the 2-rax that never comes. Now the question is whether or not Dimaga will see this. I assume he will not. Nope, as we see there, slides right past that barracks, does not see it. Meanwhile, he has expanded. Interesting to see what he does at this juncture. Spawning pool is immediately on its way. Doesn't look like he's going to cancel this hatchery. He's sending an SCV forward as well. Very, very interesting. Dimaga not checking. Oh no, does see, sorry, the Macarax. So there we go. Is aware that that's there now. And so MMA will just be floating it back to his main base and expanding behind it. So there we go. The Macarax did not fool Dimaga. He keeps that expansion up. He is not in any way, shape or form worried. This one Marine heading down is going to do next to nothing, because of course this spawning pool will finish. Some Zerglings will pop out, make 2 to 4 Zerglings, and that is the end of that. May get this Overlord, I sincerely doubt it. No, in fact, even just threatening with drones is enough to make that Marine back off and leave. MMA, I assume, will build a bunker at the front. Yep, there we go, right on cue, just to help defend against any kind of Zergling pressure that follows from now. Not a lot to say so far. Once again, MMA taking both gases, so it looks like we will see a factory on the way very shortly once he hits 100 gas. SCV is out, and there's the factory. There you go. Nice and predictable Terran. Slight engagement here in the middle of the map. Some Marines killing a couple of Zerglings. Not a lot going on really. At this point I normally talk about the background of the players, but to be honest, I've spoken so long and so hard on both MMA and Dimaga in the past that you are probably sick of that. So instead what we're going to do is just watch. We're just going to watch and see what happens. Really, what I want to get a sense for is how much MMA will deviate from his plan yesterday. We saw MMA yesterday with a decent build, but a terribly timed attack. Really not working out at all. I think maybe far too late getting some tanks out, so his bio army was completely destroyed by Bailey. And this is interesting. Yep, going for that 3rd command center straight away. So it looks like this is pretty much identical to yesterday. Waiting to see whether he drops a few more racks. Dimaga meanwhile expanding to a 3rd location faster than MMA. Again, not surprising, that's pretty much what Dimaga does. He is a macro Zerg, he likes to expand, he likes to get a ton of bases and a ton of units. Interesting, going straight into Starport now is MMA. There we go, Tech Lab on it this time though. Unless he's going to switch with the reactor. Interesting, I just want to see what he does with these 3 buildings. As it is, he's going to lose these 2 Hellions again if he's not careful, like he did yesterday. And you really don't want to do that, although he does pull back to the bunker now and saves them. Much more open map, much better for that kind of thing. It'll be interesting to see where this goes. Okay, he's starting 2 more Hellions, so this is definitely going on the tech lab. So it is Banshees coming out from MMA. Meanwhile, Reactor Hellions still following. There we go, the Banshee is on its way. 4 Hellions now, more than enough to deal with those Zerglings. The Zerglings have to retreat. Cloak is also on the way, along with an armory. Interesting. Interesting. I do not know where he's going with that armory. No upgrades started yet from an eBay, and he's pretty much going solely, pretty much heavy mech, but as of yet, no second factory. Very interesting. Trying to push in with these Hellions now. Roasting those Zerglings, but loses 1, loses 2 Hellions. Again, not the greatest of control from MMA. I want to quickly pop inside the base of Dimaga. We can see double Evo chamber going down. We can see the lair is done, along with the macro hatch there. Meanwhile, we have a Baneling nest going down. Not going to be too helpful, although still handy if you can trap those Hellions. The Banelings do explode them very quickly. But we also have a spot on the way, and 2 more factories from MMA. Okay. MMA is definitely going the mech route. That makes sense with the armory. And is immediately getting vehicle weapons level 1 as well. So, doesn't look like he's going to use these Banshees for harass right now. Unless he wants to wait for 2 before even moving out. Instead, perhaps just using them as part of his army composition to help with the ground forces. But it looks like we are getting essentially Hellions, tanks, Banshees from MMA. With, of course, probably some Thors slightly later to help against any kind of Broodlord and Muta attacks or harass. Interesting. So we're getting tanks from 1 factory, from 2 factories rather, and Hellions from another. We still have an unused tech lab here from MMA. I'm wondering exactly what he's going to use that for, since he has lifted this barracks off from it and the starport. So 2 Banshees, it looks like, is enough. Cloaks them, but of course, too much stuff in the base here of Dimaga. He has an Overseer, he has the Spore Crawlers, and he has a ton of Queens. So those Banshees were never, unfortunately, going to do anything. And right now, he is about to run out of Cloak on one of them, keeping them cloaked far too long. So just going to use it to take out some Banelings. That does hurt them, does hurt Dimaga economically, but not that much. It is not the biggest deal in the world. Could do with some more Queens or Spore Crawlers here though. He's going to lose some workers. Not ideal for Dimaga right now, losing all the drones at that base. An Overseer is spawning, but of course that's not going to help because there's nothing to attack them with quite yet. These Banshees check for a base up in the top location, but there is not one there. Infernal Pre-Igniter, that's the Hellion attack upgrade, is now on the way. Drones being sent back to this base. And here come the Hellions. Well, now just sitting there. Excuse me just 1 second. And we're back. Some slight technical problems there. I just had to pause for a second and let everything kind of catch up. Hopefully it's not been too bad for you. Thor's now out from MMA to try and counter the Mutalisks here. I really like this from MMA. Mech is so strong for Terran. It's very hard to play, but it's very powerful. And MMA now moving across the map, going to be building missile turrets as he goes to help defend against any kind of air attack from Dimaga. Hatcheries down. The 4th hatchery of Dimaga, well the 5th, it's the 4th base, obviously has the macro hatch here to help produce units faster. But right now if we look at the unit counting station, we'll see 19 Banelings, that's not going to be enough. There is just not enough there. It looks to me from Dimaga. He's trying anyway. Wastes all his Banelings on those Thors, and those Thors are all still alive. 1 is very hurt, 2 are semi-hurt, but at the end of the day they're still very much alive. DIMAGA is really going to struggle right now. DIMAGA very much struggling to hold this, down to 98 supply in food now. The sword, of course, upgraded with 1 armor. Plus 1 attack to both their attacks. DIMAGA struggling to hold this, throwing everything he's got at MMA, but it's just not going to happen. We're about to see a GG, I'm certain of it. There we go, DIMAGA GG's, and the game is now tied up at 1-1. I really don't feel like talking anymore. I'm sorry, guys. I'll try and do better tomorrow. Of course, I'll be back tomorrow with Game 3 of this. Thanks very much for watching. We'll see you all next time.